Welcome to my YouTube channel. On this channel, we find facts and fine-tune figures.
In the next module, we are going to be ingesting data from an on-prem data source into our lakehouse. So we'll go to our lakehouse and then we'll use this get data to ingest data using Dataflow Gen 2. But before we do that, since we are going to be ingesting from an on-prem data source, we need to set up our data gateway. So to get a data gateway, you need to come to this link right here. I'm going to drop the link in the description, and then you download your on-prem data gateway and then you install it. So once it's installed, you can then set it up in your settings within your Fabric environment. So I have downloaded my gateway, so I will just come to my Windows setting and search for gateway. So on my local machine, so once I get to gateway, I just click on it, then I will open up the gateway. So once the gateway is open, then I'll be prompted to sign in into my tenant. So this is how our gateway is going to look like, and then you can see sign in here. So I'll click on sign in right now, and then once I click on sign in, then I'll provide my tenant email, which is what I'm typing right now. So once that is done, I'll just click on next, and then I'll provide the password to this tenant, and that will complete the registration for this gateway. So I'll pick that same tenant, then I'll configure this gateway. So once I configure it, I'll register a new gateway on this computer. So I'll click on next, then I'll be asked to give my gateway a name. So we are going to call it Fabric Gateway. And then recovery key, this is very important. You can just put any key that you want there and keep it safe in a place where you can easily access it in case you need to use this your gateway some other time. That's if you are doing a production workload. Then I'll click on configure. So once this is done, I'll then go back to my setting um, on my Power BI environment or my Fabric environment and complete the configuration on the service. Now my gateway is configured completely now, so you can see that the gateway fabric is online and ready to be used. So you keep this gateway on, and then you come to your Power BI service, then you come to your setting right here, then you see manage connections and gateway. So under manage connections and gateway, you should see connection, and then you have on-prem data gateway. So you come to on-prem data gateway here, and then you can see the gateway that we configured on the gateway on the desktop. So here you can see the status also, and then you can click on it to check the status, and then it will show you that it is online. So once this gateway is properly set up, then you can now go back to your lake house. So from your lake house now, you now click on new Dataflow Gen 2. So this new Dataflow Gen 2 is the Power Query interface that we are all familiar with, just that is Power Query online and has some other new features as different from Power Query desktop. So data flow will open up, and once it's up, then we can now connect to our on-prem data source. The on-prem data source that I want to connect to is actually on my on-prem server, which is this, and then I want to use AdventureWorks Data Warehouse 2019 dataset. So in case you don't have that, or you can just download it online, or you can use any data warehouse on your local machine for the purpose of this demonstration. So this is the Data Works, and then we can just collapse the table, and then you see all the tables that have been modeled properly for the purpose of this demonstration. So this is the on-prem server I want to get my data from. So I'll go back to my Fabric environment. Now in my Fabric environment, you can see that our data flow is now up, and then this interface is very familiar. Things that are different is the data destination. You have your copilot, and then where you can also export as template. So you can export your Power Query transformation for reuse or for whatever the case may be that you want to do. So in our case now, we are importing from on-prem SQL server. So I will click on import from SQL server. So once I click on import from SQL server, I need to provide the server name. On the server name, I can go back to my Azure Data Studio to get the server name. I know my server name, but you can always click on edit connection, then you get your server name. So this is my own server name. So I will just copy it and then go back to my Fabric environment where I had opened the data flow. So I paste that server name right here. Then database that I want to use, which is AdventureWorks. This is AdventureWorks Data Warehouse 2019. And Once that is done, then I need to create a new connection. So a new connection has been selected by default. Then I need to pick the gateway here. So that is where the gateway that we pick becomes important. So you pick this gateway, and then once this gateway is selected, then you need to change your authentication to your Windows authentication because it's an on-prem. So you pick on Windows authentication. Then from Windows authentication, you need to provide your username. To get the username for your local machine or for your server, you can just open your command prompt. So come to your Windows here. So once you come to your Windows right here, you click on command, search for command prompt. So once you get your command prompt and your terminal is up, then you can just type who am I and you hit enter. So that will give you your username. So you can copy your username, so you copy that and then you go back to your Fabric environment, then you provide this username right here and do Control V. Then the password should be the password of your computer. When you shut down your computer, the password of your computer is what you should put here, or the password of the Outlook account that you use to sign into your Windows environment. So whatever the password is what you use in this place. So I will just input my own password now, then I will click on next. So once I click on next, it's going to take me to all the tables that I have on my on-prem, then I can pick on any one of them. So here I have it now. So I will just pick two tables right here. I will pick customer table and then I will also pick date table. Just for now, maybe I can just add product table also into my ingestion. So that will give me a preview interface, then I will click on create. So once I click on create, then I have my on-prem data being loaded into my lakehouse using Dataflow Gen 2. So whatever transformation you want to do, you can do it right here and then you can continue whatever you want to do. So for example, let me just do one transformation here. So I will just add dim product. So on this dim product, for example, I'm just going to duplicate one column, just a little transformation to demonstrate some of the things that we are going to be doing. So I'll just remove this weight measure code column. I'll take out this column, I'll remove this column. Then I'll also try and remove and rename this column also. I'll rename just product name is fine. I'll take out the English. So take out the English from here. So I'll take it out. I'll just name this column and that will be all the transformation that I will do. Now where it gets interesting is where you now have to specify the destination of your data. Where you need to specify the destination of your data. So sometimes it's automatically picked and then being mapped to the lakehouse in your environment, and sometimes you just have to add it manually. But if it's not added manually, in my case now, it has been added manually. That's why this part is grayed out. But maybe you had already specified the destination of your data set and you want to just change it before you actually publish it. On our Power Query desktop, what you have is close and apply, but in this case is publish. So before you publish your data flow now, you can always adjust the destination either from here. So if it's grayed out, that means the destination has been mapped automatically. But if it's not grayed out, you can actually manually add your destination, or you want to correct it or you want to change the destination. So you can just come to data destination here and click on this J icon. Once you click on this J icon, then you have the interface where you specify your destination. So in this case now is the lakehouse, and then you can pick that and click on next. So once you click on next, then you have the next interface where you specify the lakehouse you want to ingest your data into. So you have all the workspaces in your tenant, and our workspace is Fabric course. So under that Fabric course, you can expand on it and you can expand on it. Then these are lakehouse that we created. You can expand this. You can pick this lakehouse as your destination. So once you select this lakehouse as the destination, here you can just specify the table name and then you click on next. So this is how to specify the destination for your data flow ingestion. Then you also have this view where you either specify if it's a replace or an append operation you want to do. And then of course you can also still choose to remove some certain columns here by unchecking and checking them, and then the data type too, the data destination and then destination data type. So once this is good, then just click on save settings. So, but it is always important that you check that the destination is specified for all the tables you want to ingest. If you don't specify your destination, then you won't find whatever you are ingesting in your lake house. So lake house is specified here. And then of course, if you want to ingest to other destination other than lake house, you can also do that as the case may be. So let me just click on cancel now. And then since we are now sure that the destination has been specified for all of them, then I can come here. Is that I come and click on publish, or I can just do a drop down, publish now, public later. So since I'm done, I will click on publish now. But before I publish, there is another interesting feature that comes with Power Query within Fabric environment, which is this export template. Say you have done a lot of transformation within your Power Query and then you want to reuse that logic. What you can do is that you can export this template right here. So once you export this template, you can give it a name. Let's just call it Power Query template. So this template now will become reusable so that you don't have to start your transformation from scratch. So it is a PQT file, so which is now going to be in our downloads folder. So we can now publish. So I'll just click on publish. So my data is being ingested using Dataflow Gen 2 into my lakehouse. So once it's done, I can then go back into my lakehouse and then I will see the data that has been ingested into my lakehouse. So quick recap, we ingested data from an on-prem data source using Dataflow Gen 2, and for us to do that, we need to set up our online data on-prem data gateway. You need to set up our on-prem data gateway, and then you go to your admin portal, configure your on-prem data gateway, and then you ingest your data into Dataflow. So this has been successfully published into our lakehouse. So we can, from our workspace, we can rename our data flow and give it a befitting name. So I'll click on this, then I'll come to properties. And so from property, I can just call it ingesting data on-prem. So then I'll click on save. So that will save my data flow for me. So I can then leave this interface and go into my lakehouse and see if the data that I ingested is now available in my lakehouse. So you can see that we now have a number of unidentified tables in my lakehouse. So I'll just click on the dots here, then I'll click on refresh. So we have been able to ingest data from our on-prem data source, and of course you can also query it, interact with it with your SQL endpoint, or even open it using your notebook. So these are the data that we have in our data lake.